A lot of folks have been saying that Mark being able to shoot threes, especially above the break threes, like right at the top of the key, is a big deal for the Lakers because it allows the floor to be spread a little bit more. But I would say that even aside from that, Mark being such a good passer and being such a high IQ guy, kind of knowing how defenses are trying to play that team and stuff like that, is going to be a big boon to the players that are on the floor. One of the things that I thought that maybe the Lakers may lose out on with Rondo going to Atlanta, which is something that they've talked about, LeBron's talked about, Vogel's talked about, is losing IQ. Losing the smart guys that are on the floor that help the guys that aren't so smart figure out exactly what's going on offensively and defensively. I thought that would be an issue, but we added a very
Marc is going to have a significant impact on the Lakers offense. And no, he's not Memphis Marc Gasol anymore, and no one should expect him to be that. But oftentimes with this past season, you might have a guy like Rondo on the floor, and then you still may have JaVale or Dwight. So you had two guys on the floor that were never really a threat to space the floor. They really didn't. They don't create their own offense. They bogged down the Lakers' offense, and the Lakers were overly relying on LeBron and Anthony Davis. Now they delivered because they're LeBron and Anthony Davis, but let's say you swap out JaVale for Marc Gasol, and I think Marc Gasol is going to play a similar role, probably start the halves, maybe play 5 minutes or something in the quarter, and then go to the bench. But with Marc Gasol on the floor, man, not only does he space the floor, he shot 38% from three last season, 44% from three the year before. I mean, it's just absurd. But you can run the offense through him, right? So LeBron doesn't have to always be the guy to set everybody up. So when LeBron and AD, get out on the break, and maybe KCP or Kuz, somebody runs to the wings, now you've got Marc Gasol who's trailing, right? And AD likes to run to the rim, so if they get down there and maybe they can't get an easy basket at the rim, all of a sudden here's this lumbering guy, Marc Gasol, on the court. Everybody forgot about him. He's wide open for a three if he decides to take
it. I don't we mentioned on another post. I don't think they're going to be doing anything that's going to be very different from what they were doing last season in terms of their offensive philosophy. I think with all the moves that they've made now is that they'll be able to do the things that they want to do with better talent and with players who are more capable of fulfilling what it is that they want in those situations. And Marc Gasol is the perfect example of that.
So I think that's a good point, because everyone looks at JaVale and Dwight and their blocking ability. And I mean, those guys were high flyers, but you don't have to block shots to alter shots at the rim to be effective defensively. And Gasol's such a big boy. I mean, you're not moving him,
Yeah. One of the reasons why JaVale also collected so many blocks is because people thought they could score on him. When you look at the data and you say, well, wow, JaVale blocked so many shots, you have to ask yourself the question, why was he blocking so many shots, right? Why were so many shots available for him to block? And part of what it is players, after they beat their guy on the hip, whoever it was, whether the ball gets passed around and they just pump fake and drive, they felt that like they could score on JaVale, that JaVale wasn't enough of a rim deterrent. And one of the things that's difficult to quantify in data, but is more easier to see on tape, is when you swapped out JaVale for Dwight, Dwight was a greater rim deterrent, maybe because of his reputation, because he's a more physical body, that sort of thing. When you saw those two guys, it changed the way that you thought about going to attacking the rim. If it was Dwight that was on the back line, you maybe were less inclined to attack the rim. Whereas with JaVale, you were, because you thought, oh, maybe this guy's not smart, or this guy's kind of everything, like in the back of your reptilian brain in the back thinks to itself like, oh, I remember this guy's supposed to be really dumb, so maybe I could just sneak this layup by him or something like that. And JaVale was great. He was sensational. He blocked a lot of shots because of it. And he blocked a lot of dunks too, like just fearlessly going up and doing it. But Marc Gasol also brings that same sort of rim deterrent aura to that Lakers defense that Dwight did.
One thing that jumped out at me, I've heard people say that, they're happy with the Gasol signing, but we lose some of our vertical spacing because we don't have Dwight and JaVale. And to that point, I'd like to say, look, JaVale and Dwight, there was a lot of overlap in what they did. And so those two lob targets aren't there anymore. But one, Anthony Davis is, to me, the ultimate vertical spacer. Trez can play above the rim. I know, people don't associate him with that, but he can. And obviously LeBron can, particularly when you've got the ball in Marc Gasol's hands at the top of the key, and maybe LeBron goes to the basket for a dunk or something, or for a lob or something.
Hmm.
The Lakers, I don't look at it like they lost the vertical spacing as much as I look at it like they've added some other wrinkles to what last year's offense will look like when you add a Gasol, a Trez, folks like that.